Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Crash Course Mail Show. We are doing a Crash Course review here today. We are going to be doing the brand new album from the Choirboys, or the London Quireboys, or the Queerboys, however you want to call them, because they were all called that at some point in time. So, we are doing Wardour Street, the brand new album that came out in around October 2024, late October, so a couple months. And I have to say, I was bummed that I wasn't able to get it right away, because it took like up until about a month ago for my record store to actually get it in. And I don't know what the issue was, kind of like with the Sabir album. It just wasn't getting shipped over here, or I don't know what exactly the deal was, but it was a long wait nonetheless, but it was certainly worth the wait. Now, obviously, here we have Spike and we have Nigel from the original run of the Choirboys. We have here Luke Morley as well on guitars, and you should know him from the band Thunder. You know, Backstreet Symphony, if that rings bells for anybody. Good band in their own right. You also have on here Rudy Richmond on drums, and then you also have Chris Johnston on the piano. So let's just jump right into the album here, guys, because as you guys know, I'm a big fan of the Choirboys. Top 10 band for me all time, and certainly, like I said, was super excited. I have to admit, I will say this is probably one of my favorite Choirboys albums since Home Wreckers and Heartbreakers from 2008ish, I believe. So, but I mean, that's a strong album, and this is right there with it. Now, there are 11 tracks on here, and the best way I can kind of describe this album, just the sound, it sounds good, but it does sound like early Choirboys. It doesn't really sound like much of what they'd done, like Homewreckers, Heartbreakers, or Twisted Love, like stuff like that, like those albums. It certainly sounds more early 80s ish. And if anyone's familiar with the Choirboys, from Tootin' to Barkin', this album here, it was released in the 90s, but it's demos from when they were like the Queerboys, before a bit of What You Fancy. So if you guys listen to that or to this, you can kind of hear it on the brand new album, which is actually really cool because it gives you like a very early Rod Stewart or the Faces sound. Like as you can see behind me, Atlantic Crossing and Before for Rod Stewart. It certainly has that feel to it. Now there are some bluesy songs there. There's even a little bit of like jazzy horns thrown in here, which I'm a big fan of horns in metal. I think they certainly belong in spots. Now, yes, not overly done. I agree with that, but in certain spots it works, and I think it works in some of these songs here as well. So the first song here is "Jeez Louise." That was the first single for this album, even before they announced that they were doing an album. Which I do like the song, but this, like I said, this certainly throws you back into this could have easily been on from Tootin' to Barkin'. Just has that feel, piano all the way around. And that's the thing. Like, if you guys are familiar with like Rod Stewart's early stuff, and just like that '70s rock and roll type feel, uh, it has that like rock and roll piano all the way through, and it has it on a lot of these songs as well. But "Geez Louise" is a fine song. Not my favorite off the album, but I like it though. Classic Choirboys feel, all good. Now the next track is "Raining Whiskey." This is the first single that I think I remember, and this was, I think, the second single off of this album. But this is the song. If you listen to one song off this album, this has to be it because this is classic lyrics, classic feel for the Choirboys, and it does have Frankie Miller on guest vocals here. He sings a couple parts on this, and I think it really works. He works really well with Spike. If anyone's unfamiliar with Frankie, he's a Scottish singer, and I was unaware of him before this album or before the single was released, and I like his voice. Very '70s feeling sound, just fits perfectly with this song. And Rainier Whiskey. What do you expect other than that, like alcohol, lyrical content, and party content from Spike and the boys, from the Choirboys in general? Like, doesn't get much better than that.
Why not? Ain't gonna be no preaching, just gonna be some drinking.
Moving on here to You and I. Slower pace. It's fine. Nothing hateful, but it is one of the weaker ones, I would say, on here.
This is Stop, oh, and we're gonna highly recommend you to go and join this awesome channel on YouTube called Crash Course. Rock and roll, motherfuckers!
I think I got it wrong again. This is another video single, at least, that I remember seeing. It starts out really bluesy, kind of like somber, if you will, and then it jumps into like after like a minute or so, it jumps into like a fast paced rocker with the piano again. Like really good stuff. Classic Choirboys. Like those three singles, I think, are pretty good singles to go and showcase an album to be like, yeah, this is what the album's pretty much all about. If you don't like these three songs, you're not gonna like this album, and I would agree with that. And I think they pretty much did a good job in that, picking the right songs. So moving on here, Myrtle Beach is kind of funny because obviously we're getting another Spike feel here because like I think Spike is like one of the top three rock stars in my opinion because if it seems like that son of a bitch lives in alcohol and parties all the time.
We are not role models for your life.
And but in a cool way, like always smiling, always having a good time, like I just you don't ever really hear anything bad from him or about the guy. So like cool stuff. And me and my dad have always kind of been a fan of Spike and just like not that that's how we want to live, but like just like just have a good time like that, and just like that's just how we always act too, and as like far as smiling, laughing, joking, shit like that. So the lyric with Myrtle Beach is that Spike says, "Hey, grab me a bottle or a 6 pack each, and we're gonna raise hell at Myrtle Beach." Uh, So, like, yeah, a bottle? What, you mean like a big old fifth of whiskey or, a 6 pack? Like, Spike's not messing around here, guys. He's here to party, okay? And it's just kind of fun. Like, the song itself, like, isn't like that good, but like just of what I explained to you, like whenever I hear this song, I'm like, it always puts a smile on my face. I'm laughing, in a good way. So very cool. And then moving on here to Make Me Happy, or just happy. Um, he he sings about gambling and drinking and stuff, and he says his gambling and drinking is getting out of hand, but it's what makes him happy. Sometimes, shit happens like that, guys. I mean, uh, some people have fun like that, and like, sure, I mean, I do that sometimes. I like to gamble. I like to watch the game. Gamble on it. Have a couple drinks or whatever. It's all good. It's all good. Once you get out of hand, then it's a little a different story. Then there is a fine line to that, guys. So now moving on to the next track, we got No Honor Amongst Thieves, which is like a mid-tempo, slower paced acoustic style song, if you will. It really reminds me of Hates to Please from Bittersweet and Twisted, their second album from 1993, which is a good album. Obviously not better than the first, don't get me wrong, but it's still a good album. But it kind of reminds me of that, has that feel to it. It feels like you could even exchange the words, replace the words for Hates to Please, and you would kind of be pretty much right there in step with it. So, but it's all right. I mean, Hates to Please isn't my favorite song off the second album. It's an okay song. Like I can listen to it. It will probably stay on the iPod, but I mean, Hates to Please isn't my favorite song on Bittersweet and Twisted either. So, you know, I, it is what it is. I can dig it. Next one is Howlin' Wolf. This is like another one that's good. Like I can listen to it in the right context, but it is one of the weaker ones, because like I'm a big fan of Howlin' Wolf, the artist, the blues, artist. And I feel like they could have got a little bit more sleazier and dirtier in the blues, like with what Howlin' Wolf does on this. If that's what they're kind of doing, is like kind of paying respect or whatever to Howlin' Wolf. Maybe not. I don't know. But it's just a little weak. I kind of was, but I could listen to it too at the same time. Like I said, Spike and the boys, like the Choir Boys, they're like one of my favorite bands. They certainly have grown on me since I was a teenager, since when my dad gave me, you know, a bit of what you fancy. And ever since then, that album's been growing on me. The Choir Boys has been growing on me. It's been a long time, but slowly but surely, they're ranking up there, guys. So next one is "Ain't Over Now," which is a kind of like a ballad. I dig it. I really like the backing vocals here because it's like a couple of, or if anyone's familiar with the song "Daddy, You're a Fool to Cry" or "Fool to Cry" from the Rolling Stones, how those backing vocals, female backing vocals, kind of like support that song, that chorus and such. They kind of do it here too, and on "It Ain't Over Now," and I like that a lot. It works really, really well. So the next one is "Like It or Not," and this one is cool too for a couple different reasons. Actually, well, the first one is right from the start. Spike is like yelling out, "I'm a whiskey drinker," choir boy singer or something, like just yelling out shit. It's like, yeah, yeah, you are, man. Like this is good shit. But then as like the song goes on, it has like a jazzy horn solo to it near the end. And I'm like, okay, I can certainly get into this. Like very, very good. Like kind of like moody, mid-tempo type feel song. I dig it. I like the song a lot as well. Then we're finally ending on the 11th track here, the title track, Wardour Street. Really cool acoustic slow song. I get, paying homage to Wardour Street, in England, that they kind of grew up on, or like cut their teeth on that street, like kind of just going taking you back in like a somber, like, yeah, time has passed us type deal. And you know just kind of like a fond, loving looking back at the memories as what this street did for him, but in a little bit of a somber way too. But really good song. I dig it. Good stuff nonetheless. But yeah, guys, this album, like I said, if you were a fan, like if you listen to From Tootin' to Barking, I think you're gonna really enjoy this. And if you like early Rod Stewart shit, like I think this is right there with it. Like it's, to me, as much as I do like Homewreckers and Heartbreakers, it does sound, or This Is Rock and Roll, like as good as those albums are, even great, like it doesn't capture that like actual like 80s feel, or like 70s feel, if you will, like this album does. Like I think if you guys really like the first two albums, this would probably be your next step over even Homewreckers and Heartbreakers, which like I said, I think I do like Homewreckers and Heartbreakers better. But I think that like it would be the natural step for like a new listener to the Quireboys if they like the first two albums, that they would jump on this, then jump on like Homewreckers or Heartbreakers or something like that. Nonetheless, gotta check out Rain and Whiskey. Gotta check that song out. What the one Certainly the best song on the album. I will also say, if you want a ballad type deal, It Ain't Over Now is pretty good. I think I got it wrong again. It's fun. Yeah, God, yeah, guys. I don't know. As far as a rating for this album, I'm gonna give it an easy 4. Like this would have probably been in my top 5 2024 albums if I was able to get it in time, which sadly I wasn't, because I got it like the first week of January, and I just was not able to listen to it enough in time, or just even listen to it before the end of the year. So nonetheless, very good stuff. Classic Choirboys. I mean, what do you expect from Spike and the boys? Like, great stuff all the way around. So I certainly hope this is not the swan song album for Spike and the Choirboys. I hope they got another 1, 2, 3 albums left in them or more. That would be awesome. But if this was the last one, no better way to go out. Honestly, like this is the shit. Uh, Cannot talk enough about this album. But guys, let me know in the comments what you guys think of this album, Wardour Street from 2024 from the Choirboys, and also some of their other recent releases. Let me know what you think of them.
Talk to me.
Because, like I said, Choirboys, they have a similar sound throughout their whole catalog. They never veered too far from the path, of what they were all about. They were always had the Choirboys sound to them. And now, yes, Spike does kind of help with that because he has such a unique voice, which kind of reminds me too with the slower songs on here. It's weird to say because like Spike isn't like the most technical singer, like he certainly has his voice, like a particular unique voice, rough sounding, but I think his voice kind of shines in a weird way on these slower songs. I really like his voice on these slower songs, even compared to like the fast and party songs. Like I think it works. I think like even after all these years, Spike still sounds really good. The band sounds great on the album. Like I cannot talk good enough about the album. So like talk to me in a couple weeks. This might go 4.5 out of 5. But right now we're going to be doing 4 out of 5, and quite excited to see what you guys have to say about this album. Thank you guys so much for watching the Crash Course Metal Show. We appreciate it here. And if you guys enjoyed this video, click the like button, man. Come on, hang out with us, party with us. Click the subscribe button as well. Join the community here of all of the stuff that I love to bring you guys, like the forgotten, unknown bands and albums from the past, present, and future. So that is the goal here. But until next time, guys, stay out of that collateral damage. And if you guys enjoyed this video, check out this one right here.
Yeah, I wrote that. It's called I Want to Rock Your Body. And then in parentheses it says to the break of dawn.